Certainty. We all like some certainty. We like normality. We like when we can go from point A to point B. But next Tuesday, we'll have no certainty. It's election night, and ironically, it may not give election results. We may not know who wins the president. We may not know who wins a Senate seat. We may not know whether Democrats or Republicans take the Senate, or whether Republicans or Democrats take the House. With that uncertainty, there's going to be a lot of speculation, a lot of fake narratives, a lot of false predictions, and a lot of true predictions. But as the Purple Power family is, and always has been, we're focused on stimulus. We're focused on the numbers. We're focused on the economics. And we're focused on getting through this with our feet on the ground, financially stable, and getting to the finish line. And we will, despite everyone else's confusion next week. It's time to refocus, and it's time for Purple Power. Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm here, you're here, and you know, the corn is not. If you tune into early mornings, LALATE. I'm so glad you've joined me. It's this Friday night. We're heading for the weekend. Tomorrow's Halloween. And it's important that you remain grounded for next week, because next week's going to be really a hot mess express unto itself. And I want you to be prepared by information and by approach as to everything that's going to be thrown at you next week, because there's going to be a lot of wrong stuff. So in this video, I'm going to be really getting you up to speed on what to expect and what to know going into next week for your stimulus. If you've not gone to the Funds channel, subscribe, because this is going to be the most, the simplest, the clearest, and the most basic video to get you through the confusion of next week. And there's a lot of things that are going to be hitting for you from a lot of different directions. So put your feet up and relax. And also like this video. In this video, I'll be going over Purple Power, which is a term that I came up with several weeks ago. I created Purple Power to describe the power of my community. It's to describe the viewers of this channel. Purple Power is the viewers of this channel. And in describing Purple Power, I would say it's information, motivation, knowledge, and focus. And you see among those prongs in there is information. I came into the space with a lot of people that were not being told correct answers. They weren't being told how a bill becomes a law, or how a Senate passes a bill, or ultimately whether, you know, Biden becomes president but not Trump, and how that may not have anything to do with your stimulus. And suddenly viewers got very informed very quickly. Tonight I want to continue with that right now. This Tuesday night, you're going to have a lot of races, and a lot of those races impact your stimulus. A lot of races don't impact your stimulus. So let me go over what you should expect, because there will be false narratives next week. First, by all accounts, the House may not really change hands too much. The House is dominated by Democrats. And ultimately, when you say a party dominates a House, it means that if there's a vote and the people in that House vote on party lines, then if there's more Democrats than more Republicans, then something passes if it's a Democratic bill. And if there's more Republicans than Democrats and it's a Republican bill, then it passes. That's what it means to vote on party lines when you're the party majority. Well, the House is the party majority currently is Democrats, and they are expected to retain domination of the House. Next, the Senate. The Senate is dominated by Republicans, the other party, and they similarly vote on party lines. What's important to understand is that in the days coming into next Tuesday's election, by all accounts, it looked like the Democrats were absolutely categorically going to take the Senate. Now it's looking like it's just too hard to predict. And what's important to understand is that when you're looking at stimulus relief and you're looking at stimulus packages, a bill has to go through 3 stages. And if it misses at one of the stages, or it gets blocked at one of the stages, or it doesn't get approved in one of those stages, it's dead. Let me explain. When you write a bill, it starts at the House. The House looks at it, they work on it, then they vote on it, and then it gets approved. Then it goes to the Senate. And then at the Senate, it looks on, worked on, voted upon, and then gets approved. Well, what if they get a bill in the Senate and they don't even want to vote on it? That it doesn't get voted on it. Okay, what if it gets voted on and it's the opposing party that dominates the House? Then guess what? It doesn't get approved. And that's where we have been for many years. Presidents who are new term presidents generally like to get a sweep. They like to take all houses of Congress, both houses of Congress, and take the presidency. Because ultimately, when they walk right in, they can pass things really quickly. That's what Barack Obama had. The first 2 years of his term, he had the House and he had the presidency and the House and Senate all Democrat. So he was potentially able to pass a lot of legislation very, very quickly because it was very easy. It's written in the House, it's Democrat, sent to the Senate, which is Democrat, and then sent to him, passed very quickly. The reason why we've had the problems currently is we have House Republican, House Democrat, Senate Republican, and President Republican. And so what Nancy Pelosi has been betting on, a lot of Democrats have been betting on, is that the Senate would fall and become Democratic. Well, tonight we really don't know. And that's the big shocker. And the shocker is that it will impact your stimulus. How it will impact your stimulus, let's go over that. If it goes Democratic, does it help your stimulus? If it goes Republican, does it help your stimulus? Well, what I got to tell you is basically the following. You can't tell right now. It's just too hard to predict. It's too hard to sit back and say, I'm a talking head, I have an opinion about everything, and my opinion is that, no. Sorry, it's too hard to predict. And so what I'm preparing you for next week is come Monday, come Tuesday, come Wednesday, you're going to hear some talking heads on some channel or some broadcast network that says, okay, because this happened last night, it means this about your stimulus. I got to tell you, you and me, let's focus. You're going to hear a lot of people that are going to say, because this happened, you're going to get this. I just got to tell you, I want you to hear it and sort of just brush it off, because 9 out of 10 times is going to be wrong. They just don't know. I mean, we just don't know. We have no way to know that because something happens on election night, the next day something's going to happen. The only clear indication of that is a massive sweep. If there's a massive sweep where the margin of victory is very broad, then we sort of have a better clarity about the situation. Let me explain to you. If the Senate, the House, and the presidency are all won by a massive margin of victory, not just a very narrowly tailored one, but a very broad one, then we may be able to look at that and figure it out and analyze it. Okay, now we can sort of see where your stimulus will be coming from. But if we don't have that, if it's close enough in, then you have all the problems that will be about. Contested elections, that will impact your stimulus checks. Runoff races that will impact your stimulus checks. And then really the uncertainty whether these new electees may skip party lines and vote against party members for your stimulus. There's all that as well. So with that, you're ready to go into the new week. All right, what else do you need to be prepared for the new week? Stay with me at the 9-minute mark. I have a lot more coming up. First, you have to understand that Wall Street will be working in your benefit next week because Wall Street is pushing back on big issues. Second stimulus, third stimulus, lockdown stimulus, which I call third stimulus, and because of pandemic numbers. The pandemic numbers are really, they could overwhelm the stimulus discussion. The pandemic numbers first sort of percolated on this channel a week ago tonight when I reported to you that Johns Hopkins said that the Thursday number was 75,000, and it was the worst number since July. And I said, okay, expect next Monday the Wall Street to crash, or expect next Monday the Dow Jones to fall and Nasdaq to plummet. It happened. I mean, it's very easy to predict something like that. Where we are tonight is last night's number, Thursday, was 90,000. So we went up at 10,000 a week on a daily basis, and today, Friday. And tomorrow, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, former head of the FDA, is predicting 100,000 per day. So we have something that's not moving up slowly, it's moving up very quickly. And suddenly, stimulus could get overwhelmed by the discussion about the infection rate. What's important to understand is you need to stay focused, Purple Power. You need to stay on the ball because there's a lot of things that take this off message. Let me explain what's going on. First of all, the Democrats would take 100,000 infection day rate and say, okay, because of that, we have to make the schools really safe. Hello, we don't have to make the schools really safe. We need to close the schools. Kids should not be in school if there's 200,000 infection rates, per day. I mean, that's sort of obvious. So that's the first thing. Second, they may say, oh, we have to give a state and local some money because the governments need some money. No, no. If the governor of X state says, tomorrow I'm putting you on lockdown and we're closing our government departments for the next 6 months, and then someone in Congress says, guess what? We want to give those government departments a lot of money, but we're not going to give you any money. Sound illogical? It should. That's what's called illogical. So I fully expect that to happen. That ultimately you're going to see big numbers for COVID coming around the corner. And that ultimately some people are going to say, give that money to the federal government, give that money to the state, they're going to need it. It's like, wait a second, I'm going on lockdown. I'm about to close my door. I'm about to stay in my home for the next 3 months. I have no job. I have no money. I have no food. What are you going to give me? Oh, well, check back with me in March. And so there is the focus for that next. Additionally, it's important that the Purple Power remain vigilant and strong now before things get worse than they are in a few weeks, potentially. You don't want the pandemic to absolutely push us all into lockdown, that there's no stimulus, and that suddenly we say, okay, we have a problem now. Oh, no, no, no. You want the Purple Power to say we have a problem now. The problem is we have lockdowns coming. There's so much to talk about and so much to push in a given day, and I so freely understand it's just overwhelming. But let me explain to you where we are on so many pushes for Purple Power. First, MSC, multiple stimulus checks. Second, seats for stimulus. You need to vote these people out. The polling places are still going to get an enormous number of people voting on election night. Don't presume that because the mail-in votes are so high that no one's going to vote in the precincts. They will. Seats for stimulus. Third, push for executive orders. Fourth, you need to understand that the Purple Power Caucus is very important. Hashtag Purple Power FPUC, hashtag Purple Power check, hashtag Purple Power has a pay. Because ultimately, that's the second stimulus package push. As we're dealing the provisions of the second stimulus package, you have to say, hey, we're in October. Where are our checks for July and June and May? Where are our checks, dude? Where are our checks in September? You have to say that. And then we will potentially need another push for the Purple Power. And that will be when we start hearing lockdown and we don't see any stimulus checks to deal with the lockdown. We're going to have to be very loud and vocal because as soon as that comes down the track and you know it's coming, they're going to say, hey, you know what? I think it'd be really best, if you sort of stay. Wait a second. Where's my stimulus check? I'll get to that in a few months. Don't worry about it. I think it's really best if you stay in. No. Where's my stimulus check? And that's why we have to get ahead of the discussion before the discussion gets ahead of us. It's with that type of focus that I want to make sure that you understand what's happening next week. And I surely hope that the pandemic numbers do not jump to something like 110 or 120 per day when the fear of 100 just today alone is enough. Because if we do see those massive numbers, everything that we could be discussing right now could be almost irrelevant overnight. You could see massive lockdowns within just 24, 48 hours. State governors have been very proactive when they want a lockdown to lock down very quickly. And we simply don't know if we're slowly progressing up or if it's just an absolute out of control rise very quickly. With that, we're staying focused. We're keeping our feet on the ground, and we're going to get through this together. I'm not leaving, and you're not either. So go to the Fuzz Show, subscribe. We're going to get through this together. It's a great community, and we all care about one another. Also, like this video. Coming up next is Early Mornings LALATE at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 2 broadcasts. Don't miss them. The first one's at 6 a.m. and the second one's at 6:30. Big exciting news. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay LA.